Sanjay Gupta, MD, CNN Saturday and Sunday morning, 7:30 Eastern.
You know, in the heat of a political race, there are lots of claims being made, and counterclaims as well. And that got us thinking, how do you separate truth from fiction? How do you spot a lie? Well, deception expert Steve Van Aperen has worked on over 50 homicide cases with the FBI and the LAPD. He's so good, they call him the human lie detector. He says body language, behavioral cues can be the best way to sniff out a liar.
So let's talk about both the interviewer and the interviewee. Let's start with the interviewee. There are some people, I imagine, for example, these criminals, these pathological people, their entire behavior, I imagine, is different than the average person. They have some sort of pathology. Are they harder to detect in terms of their lies?
That's a great question. I'm often asked, who do you think make the best liars, politicians and so on? My belief is pedophiles. Pedophiles are very good at manipulating their victims and their treatment providers, and they literally live the lie. So they're very good at covering their tracks. But there will often be some telltale signs of what I call leakage or seepage, because what happens is, if you're going to lie, you need a great memory. Firstly, you've got to think, what have I said previously that could contradict me now? Neurologically, if I asked you what you did this morning, you would be relying on memory through sensory input. So you would be able to recall feelings, colours, conversations, tastes, smells, because you lived through them. Right. If I was interviewing you for a homicide and you said you were in one place but you weren't, you have to fabricate and embellish those. So for every one lie you tell, you have to invent another 2 or 3 to protect yourself from the first one. Not only that, I find truthful people, when they're recalling historical events, will speak in past tense because it's a historical event. And they'll use tenses in some of the homicide cases I've been involved in relation to disappearance of a child. Usually you'll find parents will talk in present tense. They won't say, I loved my child, because the anticipation or expectation is they'll still be returned alive, safe and well. So if a child has been abducted and a parent is talking in past tense, soon after this disappearance, red flags go up.
Can people learn to become better liars, by listening to you or reading about this? Yeah,
good question. Typically, you can try, but at the end of the day, people still trip themselves up. And it's interesting because language is what we use to communicate. So if I'm talking to you or I want you to believe what I'm saying, often there'll be a tiny slip-up. People often lie by omission rather than commission. So what people don't tell you is often more important than what they do tell you. And don't forget, people won't lie to you often. They'll just edit the information they supply you with. So they may be evasive, omissive, dismissive. I'm sure you've done interviews before. You've asked a question, they've sidestepped the issue, they've answered the question with another issue. They may be buying time.
They answer with another question.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. And what that means is the question has become the threatening stimulus. Let me ask you a question. What year did you start medical school?
1993.
Okay, and what was your very first job?
I was a waiter.
Okay, and do you remember where that was?
Ram's Horn Restaurant.
Okay, what happened then is you look to your right. So if you're accessing that part of your memory, recalling, looking to the right. One of the myths about lie busting is loss of eye contact is indicative of deception. Well, that's not true, because you actually looked away before you even answered the question. So that tells me that you're recalling information, and research shows that people often stare you down during the delivery of a deception, but our blink rate will increase between 6 to 8 times after. So it's almost like reaction and relief. It's like, I got through that lie.
So looking off to the side is actually, you say that's normal. You're recalling information. Blink rate is something that may increase after someone tells a lie.
What I teach people is how to benchmark a behaviour, then look for deviations from that normative behaviour, because if you haven't benchmarked, you're not going to see changes thereafter.
As the human lie detector, again, which I know is a colloquial name, but is there anybody that you think you couldn't, with enough time and enough questions, figure out if they were lying or not?
Look, as long as I have the ability to watch interviews and then go in and interview and ask their questions, because at the end of the day, you can try to anticipate what every question is, but if you're fabricating or embellishing, you don't have all the answers. So you can't pre-anticipate every single question that I'm going to ask you. So that's the difference between an average interviewer and a good interviewer. And coming from all different angles, I might ask you one question. Sooner or later, if you're fabricating, not relying on memory, you're going to trip up.